Hello and welcome to Tonic Studios. Today I'm going to share with you a make using the Give It a Twirl set. So this is what we're going to make today. We're going to make a beautiful gift decorated with our flowers and give it a twirl kit. We're going to take our candle. Oh, a little bit rustly there. So this is just any old candle, and I'm sure you've got loads in your house that are just hanging about. So I've cut a strip of card and I'm going to measure just around the width of the candle. So it could be you've got a short stubby candle. There we are. So the reason I'm using this strip is just to attach everything to. So I want roughly 2.5 centimetres, about an inch bigger on this wrap. So I'll just pop that together there with a little bit of tape. Find the end. And we pop a bit of tape there. Just chop the end off. And then we'll wrap this around. Obviously, when you're going to burn your candle, you're going to take this wrap off. There we are. So we're just going to wrap that around there. So that's our starting point. So where do we start? So I'm going to start with the sentiment from the set. So I've used mostly everything in the set actually. So these are our dies. Let's bring them out to show you exactly where everything comes from. So I've cut a sentiment, I've cut a backing panel here from the green. I've used a bit of cream to cut the sentiment, which is here, and it says, enjoy the little things. So I think that makes a lovely gift for anyone. And then I've also cut the same sentiment in the rustic dusk, which is in the set. So I'm going to drop shadow these. If you've never heard of drop shadowing before, it just means that you can see a little bit of the underneath die coming through. And it just gives it that little bit of a pop. Because they're two quite muted colours, so I just felt that it needed a little bit of zing there. So there we are. I'm just dotting our Novo glue onto the back. I'm taking off the excess because I don't want it to come through to the front. So put your sentiment down, lay the second one over the top, and then you're just leaving probably about 1 millimetre of the die underneath. There we are. So you're not necessarily seeing it there, but you will pick it up when I put it on the backing sheet. So another little bit of glue. When you're gluing something that's really delicate, look for the points where the lines join because they're going to be a little bit thicker, just for you to dot your glue around. So a few little more drops. There we go. Take them off and glue that together. Now I'm going to leave this for a second just to dry because I want to bend it around the candle. And if I start bending it when it's not dry, it's just going to pop off. There we go. Oops. That's it. And that's going to glue over the join. So you're never going to see the join on the candle. So now I'm going to make a couple of the flowers. So we've got 4 different flowers that you can make from this set. So we've got this lovely little trumpet flower. I love this one. We've got a medium-sized twirl flower. So that's a little bit of a cute one. We've got the smallest of the bunch. And this one could be, you can make them smaller. You can cut them down if you want to. You could make pine cones and things out of that one. And then we've got another one. This reminds me of a lily. Really, really pretty flowers. So I'm going to show you something different to do with each one. So first of all, I'm going to make the lily shape. So this is the die cut you're going to need. So I've cut it out of the Miri card, but on the back it's white and I don't want it to be white. So I'm going to take the ink that you got in your kit, and this is a lovely burgundy colour. So I'm just going to move over here because otherwise I'm going to have ink on everything. So just colour the back of the petals, and again you can put as much or as little. There we are, just work along. And then you never see that flash of white coming through then. You've just got a nice soft muted background. There we go, nearly there. There we go, that's it. So let me put a lid on here and pop it to one side. I'm going to move them out the way. So what do we need now? We need a twirly tool. Now you've got a big end to the tool. Let me hold it up like that. And you've also got a small end. Now that depends on how tight or how large you want your flowers to hold. So these little ones, they're coiled quite tightly. These are a little bit looser. So have a play. Have a play with different card thicknesses because you get a different look of flower. So just pop the end of your strip. There's a little tiny hole in the top, little slit, and then just wrap. So I'm going to keep curling this until you get to the end. There we are, and then uncoil it. Just slightly, you don't want to undo it all because you want to keep some of the coil. And then I'm going to do it up a little bit looser, depending on where I want my petals to sit. So if I look at that, my petals are all on one side, so that is not quite right. I'm going to coil it a little bit tighter until I get petals where I want them and all around the flower. So there now, they're more or less all around. So your little circle on the bottom, you're going to fold that in. And then take your glue gun. It's going to take a little second just to warm up. I should have popped this on earlier. Once you've done this, we're going to shape our petals as well. You need the tiniest little drop of glue. Don't go overboard on the glue. Oh, it's just going to be a little bit longer. But you need that tiny little drop. I'm being a bit impatient now. There we go. So there's just the tiniest little drop of glue. If you put more, you're going to end up with glue everywhere. So press it down because you want all those circles, all those coils that you've made, you want them all to be sticking to that glue because otherwise your flower is going to fall apart. So I'm just going to take, you can have a creaser tool, or if you haven't got that to hand, use your scissors just to curl over your petals. So just bend them over very, very slightly and you can shape your flower. And your petals will move a little bit afterwards. you can position them where you want. So I would probably have done a little bit more positioning of that flower when I was doing the coil. So there's the one I've done now. So you've kind of got petals more or less on 3 sides there. But I've played with that one a little bit longer and we've got petals all the way round. So play with them as you're going along. There we go. So that's our first one. The next one I've got is, we'll do the other strip so you can see the 2 different ones. So this one, I'm going to make this flower. So I've just coloured all the stamens in the centre. So your pens are in your set. So I've taken our desert sage and black cherry. Love the colour of that. So I've done all the bottoms with the black cherry. And this is our ivory cardstock I've used. Everything else has come from the kit. It's just the one little bit of ivory. You don't have to be any artistic genius to be doing this either. Turn it over and do the back as well, again because you want it to look pretty from all angles. So just colour the bottom and the top of the stamens. There we go. And then the top then, I'm going to colour with the sage. There we are. So there's no need for any blending, anything at all. You literally are just colouring. So the next one we're going to do now, I'm going to use the wider end this time. So we're starting at the end and then just curl towards yourself. And again, look where your petals are going, and they're kind of making a nice little trumpet. So again, we're going to use our trusty glue gun. I would recommend a glue gun rather than wet glue for this because it grabs quicker. So again, tiny little bit of glue. I think I'm coming to the end. Oh, that's not a tiny bit, but we'll go with it. So pop that onto the bottom and then press down so everything sticks. Press your centre petals down and also press your stamens down in the middle. And again, that's all held now. It would have taken me an awful lot longer using a wet glue. So again, I'm going to curl these petals out. I'm not sure what flower this is, but it's a pretty flower. We can go down the fantasy flower road. Tweak your petals so they're where you want them to be. And that's our next flower. Our third flower is going to be this one. This one almost reminds me of something like a dahlia. So what we're going to do with this, it's this one. So again, take your tool, pop it on the inside of the coil, on the outside of the flower, if that makes sense. And then just twirl gently. And it will all... I love making these rolled flowers. They're so simple. You can have a lovely little stash of these ready to go on your cards. So keep going with that. And then when you get to the end, pull your tool out make sure your middle hasn't risen too far, because again, you're going to want this to reach the bottom here. So open it slightly. So I've let that coil just loosen a little bit. And a little bit of glue again. Pop it down flat. Keep your coil there. And press. So I'm pressing the middle as well as the outside. Again, so that everything settles into the glue. Just push your petals out. You may want some of these to be coiled. I think if you had a lot of this type and the next one that we're going to come along to, if they were done in green, I think they could look like house leeks as well and make a nice little decoration in a plant pot. So that is our next flower all done. Look how simple that was. Our last one now, this makes this little flower. And this is the smallest. But I think you're probably going to use that more because it's going to fill in your small spaces. When you're doing little flower arrangements, this is the one, if you've got a gap, this is going to fit in it. So again, all I'm doing, I started on the outside again, and I'm just running my tool around. Put your finger underneath, your tool on the top, and then just coil. Let that go just to loosen a little bit, and then we'll have a little bit of glue again. So I'm going to knock that off. So again, press it down, make sure the middle is attached as well. And then I'm just pulling out the outer petals, and that's it for this one. So they are really, really cute little flowers. What you could do, because you've got this in your kit as well, take a tiny, tiny amount, and I mean tiny. Pop a little bit of this glacier paste on your finger, and that is the amount I'm talking about. Dab it onto your mat. I'm going to put this away. So you've got a little bit of sheen on the tip of your finger, and then just brush around the outside. A little bit more. So that then will give you that little bit of sheen just sparkling around the edges. It's not overly glittered, but you've just got that little bit of sheen. So next bit now is our assembling. Love this bit. So what have we got? This is all dry now, so I can give this a bend. But we've got a little die in here that gives you a lovely little corner. But because I'm not making a corner, I wanted to use it as a straight piece. So never be afraid to cut into your die cuts. So there's the die cut. So I'm going to take a scissors and I'm just going to cut through the die cut. So I'll just snip the edges off. And I've done 2 of these. So I've used the olive green and the pistachio green. And I'm going to layer one on top of the other. Again, like we did with the drop shadow. So I'm just going to drop shadow that so we've got a little bit of the dark coming under the light. Couldn't see that join for love or money then. Little bit of glue on the back and just pop that on top so you can see it peeking through. And again, we're going to do the same with the other one. I've cut them slightly different, but that's not going to make any difference whatsoever. There we are. little bit of a shadow. So I'm going to start at the back and bring these around to the front. So I'm looking where the join is and just kind of mirroring that on the back. Because we've got a little hook on the corner here and they will join into each other. And that's the bit I'd like at the back. And then we'll bring the rest round to the front and snip off whatever we don't need. So again, a little bit of glue. Starting at the back. And we're going to bring it around to the front. There we go. Now I want to hook that little hook into the back, only because it makes them join together. There we are. We'll pop it that way this time. And we're going to glue around. So it's a really pretty die. And like I said, you don't have to just use it for making corners. There we go. So we've actually gone right the way around our candle and a little bit to spare. So to cover the join in the front, I'm going to pop on my sentiment. There we are. I got plenty of glue because I wanted to go on a bend. So I'm going to hold it just for a couple of seconds. Give it a little bit longer. Be kind to our glue. We can sometimes rush a little bit. So I'm just going to hold that for a couple of seconds. And then we're going to build up the pattern using all the flowers that we've created. So you could have an evening in front of the TV just creating flowers. So where do we go? So I'm going to pop some red flowers here. A little bit of glue. You could do this with a heat gun actually. The reason I'm using red here is because I want it to pop against the sentiment. I want a nice big flower then. And I tell you what I do. I'll use my glue gun because we'll be a little bit quicker. I want this to pop just there to give a little bit of contrast. But I'm not gluing it on the base because that means it'll glue straight. I want to glue in at an angle. So I've put it on the side. There we are. And then you can just work around then. I'm going to mirror it on the other side. But I'm going to go, instead of having them both on the bottom, I'm going to go one on the top. There we are. So again, I've popped the glue towards the side. And if you're thinking, well, that looks a little bit weird on the side, I'm going to cover that. That area will be covered. So we'll bring in another red flower. And that covers the base of the white, or the cream. There we are. So that's our starting point. So there's our starting point. And then we can just carry on then building up these little flowers. So I'm going to stand this up so that we don't squash them. And you've got little dots. As you can see, there's little circles on this die set. So these are where the flowers are designed to fit perfectly. There we are. We'll pop another one there. I've got a couple more here that we can build up with. There we go. Oh, hold it down. I've got a cream flower here, just as a contrast. So we'll pop that one in the middle there. And then just keep building. Put as many or as few as you want. I tend to like a lot of flowers, so I just keep going. And then we'll add that one there. And I'm going to pop a few more around the front. There we are. So if I turn that so you can see, this one then can go in there. And just keep going. We are coming to the end now. The one thing I didn't say as I was making my flowers, where have we got a nice gap, was, I'll turn it to show you now. On this flower here, can you see it shining on the middle of the petals, on the sepals here? What I've used is our crystal drop, and it's clear. So it'll look like little raindrops. It'll look like, it brings the colour that's underneath will pop through. It's one that I use an awful lot. In your stamp set, you've got some little leaves as well. And I'm gonna, if you've got some areas that you think, oh, that's not quite as I'd like it, well, that is where your leaf goes. Where did I put the others? Oh, they're all gone under my mat. So I'm just bending the leaves, give them a little bit of welly, and then pop them in underneath your flowers. So I've stamped these leaves with your red ink pad that's in the kit, and I've coloured them with the green pen that's in the kit. So we'll tuck this one under there, and the last one, they're a good camouflager, these are. So where should we pop this one? I think we'll go just up here. And that then is your make, with all your flowers attached, ready for you to gift. Thank you for joining me in this make. Don't forget, share your makes with us and tag us, and I'll see you soon. Happy crafting!